welcome to the Daily Dose with Dr. Cristin. I'm Dr. Cristin Fitzpatrick, International Healthcare Professional of the Year and Director of the Mediterranean Brain and Spine Center, home to Malta's award-winning international team of specialists. Here's the Daily Dose. We're focused on what truly matters, helping you and your family stay healthy, balanced, and thriving every day.
Dr. Cristin, they say that the gut is the second brain of the body. What is the relationship of the gut vis-a-vis our body?
Okay, that is a fantastic question. Gut problems are one of the most common things. I find people talking about this at dinner parties, and it's just a really common discussion because it's affecting so many people. One thing I love to reiterate is just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. Okay? These are really important facts to connect, and they are interconnected together. So we have a gut-brain axis. What we look at with many different conditions that affect the brain is we also need to consider what's happening in the gut and take a look at the gut health, because the brain will send a signal to the gut and tell it what to do, but then the gut needs to feed the brain for it to be able to send those signals back and forth. So they're very intimately connected together. And when we get into either a gut health focus or a brain health focus, we're usually connecting those together in our rehabilitation programs.
An unhealthy gut, what's the result of that?
So the long-term effects of having gut dysfunction, even dysbiosis, IBS, gas, constipation, all of these different things that we have, because it's happening in one big area, we really want to break it down into what's happening. So when we look at things like what are we eating, not just what's in our food, but how does our body interact with the foods that we eat. Different people have different sensitivities to different types of foods, and our digestive process obviously starts in the mouth with the chewing process, release of digestive enzymes. When we get to the stomach, the gallbladder, the pancreas, into the intestines, and so on, this whole process is essentially like making a cake. There is a recipe that we have to follow, and we have to follow it in a specific order if we want that end result of that beautiful cake. It looks good and it tastes good. Okay, those types of things when we talk about gut health and we talk about digestion, there's so many steps in the process, and if you have something in the beginning stages that's affecting the process, you're not going to get the same result that you want to.
So again, common denominator, this is all inflammation, right?
Inflammation plays a very large factor in what's happening with the gut. When we look inside the gut on a more microscopic level, so most patients are not going to be doing this. Sometimes it's hard for patients to understand exactly what's happening, but when we talk about the inflammation and the process of what's happening, that chronic inflammation is going to lead to malabsorption problems. If we have malabsorption problems, we're going to get fluctuation in how are we breaking down foods. When we look at things like insulin resistance, these things are happening early. They're happening in teenagers. They're happening in people in their 20s and their 30s. They're getting insulin resistance. This is something that we're looking at and we're saying, okay, what is going on? And it's something that we need to fix. Obviously, sooner than later with any condition is more beneficial. But yeah, the inflammatory process, we have many different factors that we look at to be able to reduce the amount of inflammation.
How can we prevent it?
So prevention is a fantastic conversation to have. Prevention is going to start with education. So when we start educating, when we start learning these tools that we need to be able to develop certain habits that are going to promote longevity. We talk a lot about longevity. We do want to live as long as we can, as healthy as we can. And a lot of different aspects and different components. I find this a beautiful mission to work with the team here and with the community. Even going and talking about healthy lunchbox options, teaching kids how to choose a snack, maybe making a list of, what are the healthy things that we can eat instead of, grabbing a bag of processed foods or something quick, something on the run. Here, take this, it's a quick granola bar, chuck it to the kids in the back seat. We really want to look at what are we fueling our body with. So a lot of this comes down to education. I do prefer to start with kids because when they learn healthy habits when they're young, those are the things that are going to stick as they get older. Sometimes with patients that are older, we have a wellness expert that specializes in lifestyle modifications, changes. How do we get back? Our patients are so happy. The changes that they're just getting back to basics on what they need to fuel their body, it does make a significant impact on there. But I think a lot of it comes down to education and understanding something and finding a specific formula that works for a specific patient or a family. Typically, we'll make some changes in the families overall.
So this is the same answer to what is the remedy to IBS, constipation, and bloating. It's a lifestyle change.
Lifestyle changes are going to be significant, but if we just go and change everything all at once, sometimes people will still have the problem. And this is specifically what we see in the clinic. Well, I've tried this and I've done this and I've taken this supplement and I've done this. But unless we do it in a specific order, in a very time-sensitive, mediated fashion, we're not going to get the results we're looking for. So when we talk about gut health and restoring that, a lot of that depends on the case history. So the patient number one is going to be first and foremost what's going to determine our prognosis. A prognosis tells us how well is this person going to respond? What type of results do we expect? We don't expect everybody to be in excellent condition, depending on their case history. So case review is very important. Remedies are very important. So we talk about remedies. What does that mean? Vitamins, supplements. Now, I do love vitamins and supplements, but they need to be very specific on what are we giving and when are we giving it. And we also need to be knowledgeable to be able to look at the lab work. What are the biomarkers telling us? These factors are very important. We can't just go and take every supplement that we see in the store. I know a lot of patients come in and they go, oh my goodness, you should see my medicine cabinet at home. It's all vitamins, as many as you can imagine. And for me, I sort of say, okay, that's sending up a bunch of yellow flags, maybe some red flags for me, that we're not being specific enough about what we need to do. And when you do things in a sequence, and when you make these recommendations in a certain way, we are going to get those results that we want, but it's not a cookie cutter type of formula. And that's something very important to notice. Just because a supplement would be beneficial for me doesn't mean it's going to be beneficial for you.
It's not a one size fits all.
Precisely. And we like to use testing. We like to have objectives to know exactly what we're looking at. So when we talk about prevention, or when we talk about things that are going to benefit us in our health, we need to know that when we get that supplement, that we're investing in our future, and we're investing in our longevity. We're investing in our health, in our prevention of things that are going to make our life better.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Super. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to share.
Same.